Commander Zalrith of the Krovan Dominion stood aboard the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking in what his species considered laughter. Before him, projected in holographic detail, floated the human fleet. 60 vessels, their hulls scarred and patched, their design antiquated by galactic standards. They looked like relics from a museum, not instruments of war. Kinetic weaponry, his tactical officer hissed with disdain. Explosive propellants. Advisor Zalrith, they still use combustion-based systems. Zalrith's four eyes gleamed with predatory amusement. The Dominion had conquered 47 systems with their plasma lance technology and graviton disruptors. Their shields could deflect particle beams and absorb directed energy with ease. And now, humanity dared to stand against them with weapons that belonged in a primitive era. Perhaps they are unaware of how thoroughly outmatched they are, Zalrith mused. Open a channel. Let us offer them the dignity of surrender before we demonstrate the futility of their resistance. The communication link crackled to life, and a human face appeared on the screen. Admiral Sarah Chen, her uniform crisp despite the dire circumstances, her expression unreadable. This is Commander Zalrith of the Krovan Dominion. Your worlds now fall under our jurisdiction. We have studied your armaments, ballistic cannons, missile systems, combustion engines. He paused dramatically. We are almost embarrassed to engage such primitive technology. Surrender, and your species will be permitted to exist as a client state. Admiral Chen's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Commander, I appreciate the offer. I really do. But there's something you should understand about humans and our outdated weapons. And what is that? They've had 5,000 years to get really good at killing things. The channel closed. Zalrith's mandibles twitched in irritation. Battle formation. Activate shields to maximum. This will be over quickly. The Krovan fleet advanced, 300 warships moving in perfect synchronization, their energy shields shimmering like soap bubbles in the void. They had done this dance dozens of times before. The pattern was always the same. The enemy fired their inferior weapons, the shields absorbed everything, and then the Krovan vessels delivered overwhelming retaliation. The human ships began their approach, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. At 30,000 kilometers, they opened fire. Zalrith watched with mild interest as primitive railgun rounds hurtled toward his fleet. Solid metal projectiles accelerated by magnetic force, technology the Krovan had abandoned centuries ago. His shields would disperse them like... The first impact sent shockwaves through the flagship. Report, Zalrith barked. Sir, the projectiles are passing through our shields. They're not registering as energy signatures. Our defensive matrix is... It's not stopping them. Another impact. Then another. The supposedly primitive rounds punched through energy barriers as if they didn't exist, because to kinetic weapons, they essentially didn't. The Krovan had optimized their defenses against energy weapons, never imagining anyone would still use solid projectiles. Evasive maneuvers. Return fire. Plasma lances erupted from the Krovan fleet, brilliant beams of superheated matter that could melt through conventional armor in seconds. They struck the human vessels, splashing against their hulls, dissipating across reflective surfaces specifically designed to deflect energy weapons. Minimal damage to enemy ships, the tactical officer reported, his voice climbing in pitch. Their armor is ablative. It's designed to sacrifice outer layers and disperse heat. Our weapons are. They're not penetrating effectively. Zalrith felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Uncertainty. The human missiles came next. Not sophisticated antimatter warheads or quantum destabilizers, simple chemical explosives wrapped around metal fragmentation casings. Hundreds of them, launched in coordinated waves, their trajectories calculated with mathematical precision. The Krovan point defense systems, calibrated to intercept fast-moving energy projectiles, struggled to track the slower, more erratic missile paths. And those that did intercept them triggered explosions that sent thousands of metal fragments in all directions, overwhelming targeting systems and shredding exposed sensor arrays. They're using shrapnel, the tactical officer said, his voice hollow with disbelief. They're weaponizing debris. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos on an open channel, broadcasting to both fleets. You want to know the advantage of primitive technology, Commander? Simplicity, reliability, and 5 millennia of continuous warfare to perfect it. Your shields stop energy. Ours stop energy. So we went back to basics. Newton's laws don't give a damn about your technological superiority. Another salvo of railgun rounds tore through the Krovan formation. 3 ships suffered catastrophic hull breaches. A 4th lost its entire command section to a tungsten penetrator traveling at a significant fraction of light speed. Zalrith watched his fleet being systematically dismantled by weapons his species had considered obsolete. The humans weren't just fighting. They were executing a doctrine refined through thousands of years of war, adapted for the one scenario his people had never prepared for. An enemy that didn't play by modern rules. Sir, we've lost 47 vessels. Hull integrity failing on multiple ships. We must retreat. But retreat required maneuvering, and the human missiles had crippled their propulsion systems. The Krovan ships, designed for elegant energy-based combat, were being beaten to death with the galactic equivalent of rocks and sticks. And they were losing. Admiral Chen appeared on the display again. Commander Zalrith, I'm going to offer you the same courtesy you offered us. Surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Or we can continue this demonstration. Behind her, through the viewport of her flagship, Zalrith could see the human fleet. Battle-scarred, primitive, burning with chemical fires that would have seemed barbaric to any advanced civilization, and utterly, devastatingly effective. Zalrith's mandibles trembled as he reached for the communications panel. We surrender. As Krovan vessels powered down across the battlefield, the tactical officer turned to his commander, all 4 eyes wide with something approaching terror. How? He whispered. How did we lose to such primitive weapons? Zalrith stared at the human ships, understanding dawning too late. Because we forgot the oldest rule of warfare. It's not the weapon that wins battles. It's the mind that wields it. And humans. He paused, watching another spread of missiles navigate through the debris field with unnerving precision. Humans have been wielding weapons longer than we've existed. In the observation deck of the human flagship, Admiral Chen watched the Krovan fleet surrender. A young officer approached, curiosity evident in his expression. Ma'am, they had superior technology in almost every way. Why did we win? Chen smiled, gesturing to the railgun batteries, the missile tubes, the chemical propulsion systems that had carried humanity to the stars. Because sometimes, Lieutenant, the old ways are old for a reason. They work. And while everyone else was inventing new ways to fight, we were perfecting the ancient ones. She turned from the viewport, her reflection ghosting across the star-filled darkness. Never underestimate a species that learned warfare before it learned to write. The wreckage of the Krovan fleet drifted in the void, a monument to the price of arrogance and the enduring lesson that in the crucible of combat, there are no obsolete weapons, only obsolete thinking.